uh, to say that I have a friend over, which I don't really do often. It's actually someone you guys know. Um, and I'll wait to kind of dig into that a little bit. But I got a friend over from the comics who is staying over at my place, and then this weekend we'll be going out to an event, and I'll explain all that stuff here in a minute once we got a couple people in here and we start everything. So
Cool. You want me to start the event right now?
sure, yeah, I think we're good. It
Okay.
it will be a bit shorter of a stream today, probably significantly shorter than we normally do, just because I don't want to take too much time. And also, it's extremely hot. That's a hot day. It is like almost 100 degrees outside. And my office is not the most well insulated, so we'll see.
I totally hear that.
Yeah. So if it's okay with you and whatnot, we may do a bit shorter today. We'll see.
Sure. I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable, you know?
Well, it's also true that like I've just I with the Sage comic that came out, I've been very busy. So like I really am going to go through the comic and show all sorts of different methods that I used to make it, but I'm stoked to have this one out because it was so popular this week. I was blown away by the interest and reaction to the comics. So we'll dig into that. I think that's going to
Totally.
get into a good amount of time. So, yeah. Hi, everybody. We have Real Smart here. We got Fungi Mancer. We got Felix. Let me actually open up the stage here. Hi, everybody. It's good to see y'all. I definitely am excited to have you guys here today. We're going to be playing around a little bit with some experimental stuff. It is something that I'm okay. It is something that I'm excited to dig into because it involves using multiple characters inside of your CRF. So it's not anything like official from Midjourney, but it's something I found for my comics to work really well. So Really Smart Tier says, quick question about posting a character. The rules said I have to have a Patreon account. Can you help me explain to me, please? Yeah, sure. So I really should go through those rules and actually redact all the Patreon stuff because I haven't launched the Patreon yet for my Discord. And the reason I haven't is just because we were going to do that with the release of the first chapter of the fantasy series that we're working on. That got held back a little bit, so I really should have redacted the Patreon. But you could just ignore it for now. Don't worry about it. The eventually what will happen is that there will be a very, very cheap Patreon tier that supports me and the comics that we make together. And it will get you access to a private, like basically channel for us to work together. So if if you pay $2 or whatever, then you will be able to prompt in a channel specific for the supporters, and then there'll probably be a higher tier for a private channel between you and me, and we'll just make comics together. Just kind of a la carte, like whatever happens kind of thing. But we're not ready for that yet. We'll get there eventually. But yeah, all right. Well, thank you for your question. Really smart. It is something that I'm hi Getters, good to see you. But yes, thank you guys so much for coming here today. This will be a bit of a lighter stream than normal. I have Fran from the Tiffany Eve comics over at my house actually. She and her wife came by, and we're going to Web Comic Con tomorrow. Kinky says hi, Fran, in big bold text. So I'll be sure to relay that to her. She is currently getting smoothies or getting dessert ice cream at a local shop here. So she'll probably say hey at some point. But yes, there's a place that's up here that is like Wisconsin. Like, I don't live in Wisconsin. Okay. It's just, there's a lot of Wisconsinites that come to where I live. And man, they know their dairy. I'm telling you, like the ice cream and any sort of like frozen treat here is ridiculously good. So, but I've been having just so much fun with her around because she's she's just we've been really great buds going through all the Reddit comic stuff and supporting her, supporting me. It's been a lot of fun working together. So I just thank you guys all for coming here. I want to hear from you guys inside of VC Text about what sort of projects you guys have been up to. I see that there's some military forces and urban environment inside of VC Create from a little earlier today. So I'm curious what you guys get. Oh, look, it's me. So with the release of version 6.1, I'm excited to say that the base version of Midjourney is really, really good at doing what I would normally attribute to mostly just Niji results. Like this is like an anime result with a really fantastic flame and electric effect that Fungi Mancer just generated for us here. And it's super, super cool. I think this is really neat. And that was generated inside of VC Create, which Kinky just posted a link to here. If you want to navigate to it manually, you just go through the channels here on the left side of Midjourney. And I'll zoom in a little bit so it's easier to see. You go through the left side here, you have the stage where we're at now. And then just above that is VC Text and VC Create. We are prompting inside of VC Create. And then when you guys chat with me, it'll be inside of VC Text. So good to see you, Curtin. Thank you so much for Curtin? Yeah, it's good to see you, man. Thank you so much for coming. So I know that when it comes to the kind of stuff that, let's see, actually, wait, Fungi Mancer said one thing here. 6.1 is great with Niji anime character ref is great. Awesome. Yeah, I've been really happy with the results that I've been getting with 6.1. It's been really interesting how well it understands anatomy, structure, form in ways that, some people are like, maybe I'm running. Maybe I'm not getting as good of results as I'm used to or whatever, but then it's kind of like an initial bias, like we want to kind of push the limits of what we can do with this tech, and we see one bad thumb or something, and we go, oh, it's not as good. It's great. It's so much better than it was before, and I'm very happy with 6.1. Getter said they've been rerunning a lot of older prompts and working with cartoon styles, Lisa Frank colors with a dash of Keith Haring thrown in for a good measure. Ooh. I love how you guys are like, how you guys treat the prompts as like recipes. Like you just kind of throw it in ingredients and seeing what sticks, I think that's a pretty fun way to handle it. And Zero says that animals are really good in 6.1 as well. So we'll be sure to mess around a little bit with that. We're gonna basically be doing a 6.1 stream today with some additional kind of experimental stuff peppered in there. I promised to kind of explain a good chunk of the comic that I made this week, and due to some of the language in the latter half of the comic, I won't go through every page. It is just something that I'm aware that I am trying to speak like someone from the 90s in my comic, which means that there's some language that might be a little bit taboo today. So what I'm going to do is inside of VC Create, I will link the whole comic, but I am going to only show off the first like couple pages just to show you guys what I did. Okay. So under VC Create, I'm going to link to the comic here. You're welcome to read it at your own time. It's about 10 pages, and there's plenty of there's plenty of content in there for you to consume. Now, I will say one thing about it though. This was my biggest comic yet in terms of the reaction, and I was so shocked by the reaction this comic got. Not only did I break 40,000 upvotes, which is insanely big for my comics. Beforehand, my highest comic was making fun of Spez, who is the guy who owns Reddit. I was making fun of Spez, and I had 33,000 upvotes. This is 40,000 upvotes that I had on this. It's just ridiculously big. and the final kind of view counts on this was like 3.7 million viewers, 12,000, almost 13,000 shares. Like these are enormous numbers, guys. And I just wanted to thank everyone here who supported me through all this stuff, because this is I could definitely not do this alone. But I broke milestones, not just with like people reacting to this comic, but also with followers. Like we broke 3,000 followers for the first, like on Reddit, and I think I'm almost at 1,500 at Instagram. Like, understand, like, I was only at 400 or so followers like only a month ago. Like, it's been ridiculous how active of a month it's been for me. So just thank you guys so much for checking out these comics. It really does validate a lot of like what I was expecting Midjourney to be able to do. When I got started over a year ago, and I know that we can get all you guys to be making very similar content to this. So we'll explore that a little bit today about how I made this comic. It is entirely derived from character references. So we're going to get into CREF, and we're going to get into a little bit of SREF as well. So if you're not familiar with what those two terms are, character referencing is where we have an image of a character that we can generate and be able to like basically, like, you can see that there's this character reference includes many links, but it represents the character Victor who's talking to you right now. And each one of these images here is just one of the reference images for a very powerful version of my main character that I think is really cool, that I believe Legal Beagle also put together. But they're images that largely reference different states of of energy and intensity for Victor. And it's really cool to see you guys kind of running off with my characters and doing a lot of really fun stuff with it. But if we go ahead and pull up one of my more simpler examples, like let's just do Sage by herself. And I'll show you guys how to save characters here in just a moment. But if I come into here and I hit /imagine, I have something called prefers saved of all my characters. We'll get into how to make that for your account here in a second. But I'm just going to give her a simple task. Okay, so let's do stapling papers. Okay, just a simple direction, because I use my prompts as form of acting or like directing the characters. So I'm just going to say she's stapling papers, and then I'm going to say --cref, and I'll zoom in a bit so it's a little more obvious there. --cref, and then I have her saved inside my Midjourney account, so I can say --sage _office. All right, so I have a couple different outfits for Sage. The office one is the one I think most people are familiar with, because I set most of my comics in her 90s office space. But what we're going to do is we're basically just going to submit this. The only thing that I am going to add at this point is the version. We've been using Niji 6 this whole time, up until version 6.1. So let's do 6.1 just to see what we get with it. But understand that we're probably going to get a lot more mix of realism, a lot more mixed media. That one failed for some reason. Hold on, let's see what happened here. Let me try that one more time. Okay, no, it just took a second to process. Okay. So, hey, Nixie, thank you so much. I really do appreciate the congratulations. That's awesome. And Getters, the comic scene is certainly something that I recognize that I'm kind of like stirring the pot on that, right? So there was a good amount of like blowback to my comic as well. I'm not going to get into a lot of that, but it is definitely true that at least one other artist decided to go renegade and try to boycott me again, and that didn't work. So yeah, that whatever. But you could see that the result that we got off of 6.1, it's not really designed for cartoons, right? It's definitely designed for more human anatomy, like regular anatomy and stuff. So you're going to get kind of awkward or weird results like this with by default. I'm actually really curious. Is there a style raw for this? I don't think so, but let's see. Submit. And there is. Okay, cool. So if we add style raw to the results here, what it tends to do is it tends to give us something that may not be a very like beautiful image. Like it may not be as like coordinated. It may even be badly cropped, right? That's the number one result is like style raws tend to have worse crops. But what we tend to get out of it though is maybe something that's more functional for like an asset or a part of a comic or something. It basically adds less like randomized textures and effects to it, right? So, for example, like the stapling papers results here, let's do the first two. Now we have something that like anatomically is way better than what we had before. It's not, the stapler is not really that right, but it is, we could easily inpin a new stapler onto there. But in terms of like the anatomical structure of all this is so much more impressive than we had before. And what we can do now, because it's style raw, right? We can easily just zoom out. Now, temporarily, 6.1 zooms and in paints are actually using version 6. So as soon as we zoom out here, we don't have any more of version 6.1 being done here. It's being technically converted to version 6. So just keep that in mind that if you are like really, really happy with the like the anatomical like accuracy of this results, you may see some of it lost by the time we zoom out. But let's take a look at what we get. So I'm just going to zoom out of this one with the paperclip here, and you can see like this is just amazing. It's amazing to me that it's able to keep form, keep what it very believably is Sage, as the, basically just starting to slowly introduce the rest of her into this scene. And we can change any amount of that prompt by using remix mode. So remix mode I have on all the time. I literally don't turn it off. In fact, I don't really even know why we should be able to turn it off. I don't really get it. But if we hit /settings on here, like some people just want to be able to hit variation and immediately get a result, when I want to be able to change the direction of the prompt, okay? Whenever I hit a button. So I make sure /settings remix mode is on. That means that whenever I click a button up here, most buttons anyway, it's going to allow me to be able to edit the prompt as needed, like to basically say, hey, I actually want it to say, I actually want Sage to do something as we zoom out here. Like, for example, in this result here, she's just kind of a little bit smiley, a little, there's no real emotion coming from her because I literally just wrote that she's stapling papers. Okay. But if I were to re-roll this now, because remix mode is on, I'm able to edit this prompt, and I'm going to say that she is angrily stapling papers. Okay. Just adding one word tends to make pretty dramatic effects on small prompts. On big prompts, it tends to be a lot less effective. So creating paper mache, and it's like the thing is that especially when you are using character reference, it's going to show you the character. It's going to show you as much of the it's going to try to force the character into frame. So yes, by saying paper mache, you're getting a paper mache version of Sage in this moment. Okay. So in order to fix that, like she's making paper mache, you just do that. You just add a gender, and then more likely it will basically just get us closer to watching her doing the action versus necessarily her. But I tend to find the best results coming from sticking to character references only when I need the character. So I might ask for somebody working with paper mache with their hands, and then when I zoom out, I add the character reference in order to, leave the feature set or the emphasis on Sage, on the hands while we see Sage zooming out. So now, okay, this is perfect. The second and third result follow our remix. Okay, angrily stapling papers. She looks pretty pissed off there, guys. She looks pretty upset. Same with this third one here. She looks pretty upset. So remix mode is insanely powerful because it lets you turn Midjourney from randomized results into iterative results. And you're talking about the difference between um, buying a photo on the, buying a photo at a shop or something like that, and taking the photo yourself. That's how big of a difference remix mode is, or at least for me. And we're gonna get into all sorts of experimentation within CREPs. So I wanted to first show you guys this about basically how we reference characters, so that I can then show you, hey, here are the two links that make up the character here. Okay, so we have the first image of Sage and the second image of Sage. The reason why I have these two images in particular is because I wanted one where it showed off a little bit of her legs. Basically it had a lot of similarities to the first image here, but I wanted to be able to say, hey, sometimes I need her to have a little bit of a bolder outline, a little bit of a brighter face. Like there's some minor changes in here that I've just been happy with the results, but I haven't really honed in or cleaned up. Just because I've been happy with these results. But the one thing about this, and something I'm going to have to probably change eventually, is look at her part. She has a center part on one where it basically falls to one side to the other. And then on this one, she has a side part so that it's almost all angled to the side. I'm probably going to shift more to just using this one image here in order to reduce that randomness, because I'm always fixing that inside of my comics. So let's quickly talk about what exactly is happening here with this comic. The main thing is that I'm actually prompting both Sage and Michael at the same time. I'm using a character reference that actually includes both characters. This is what the character reference looks like. This is not a raw generated image, okay? I went through and made sure that the laptop was a Toshiba. I made sure that there was interaction between the two characters. And this is actually all in Painted. To get this sort of interaction of these characters, I really needed to say, hey, these are the core moments. I want to be able to have Sage kind of pull and yanking, like dragging Michael around a little bit, because she drives the stories for the comics. So I had Michael just kind of lean in to the side here. And after a lot of experimentation, this was the image that really did it, that really knocks it out of the park for doing this process. So we can now come into our VC Create here. I'm going to hit /imagine, and then we can just write --crep, and then add this unique multi-character reference. But here's the thing about it. On its own, it'll merge the characters into one. Okay. So it'll basically make like a chimera. As if they had a kid, we could kind of see what their kid looks like by default. I turn on style raw to kind of help us avoid some element of the chimera hybridization that happens. But the most important thing at this point is, outside of adding Niji, because we want to keep it within an anime data set for now. The absolute most important thing is your prompt includes two people in the prompt. Okay, this could be as simple as writing a 2-shot and then describing the rest of your scene. But let's do something where it's like two people getting a hot dog in the streets of New York City, 1994. Okay. This basically sets up the exact premise of a prompt that would be similar to a comic that I would start. And we can run it just off of this, but we need to have a style reference in order to make sure it matches my previous comics. Because if we just run this on its own, it's most likely going to be very random, very, very all over the place when it comes to the potential color palette, the potential composition. there's just a good chance that we are not going to get a result that we want that flows like a comic. We may get something that looks like a film. We may get something that looks like a poster if we don't do this. Okay. So we're going to add one more image, and that is a style reference. I have this on my Discord for you guys if you want it. It is a style reference of a previous Sage comic with all the text removed. Okay. The text, I left gnarly comics in there because I want you guys to know what my website is if you find this image. But all the other text has been removed because text actually adds like a level of like expectation for Midjourney. Like it's like, okay, if you want randomized words, let's kind of get an idea of how much of the canvas is filled with words, and then we'll kind of replicate how many words are inside of this image. I don't want it to do that. I only want it to know, okay, I need speech bubbles, I need blank negative voids around. That's what I want. So to fix this, or sorry, to address this, we are now going to add a style reference, so --sref, and then paste the comic into there. By the time this is all done, we will have a square result that has some element of comic panels in it, but also includes two people getting a hot dog. Okay. And so I will go ahead and this up here. Okay. So multi-character style referencing has so much potential, y'all. So much potential. I can't even underscore how big of a difference this is in terms of our capabilities as Midjourney users. We are talking about the ability to get dynamic character interactions between two people that are close enough that we can then in-paint the corrections, like make something that get us close enough, like basically get us some generic puppets of our characters, and then in-paint the parts that are wrong. Okay. And I say wrong, like it's just like Sage is allowed to change her outfit. I do not follow traditional cartooning rules. I allow Sage's outfit to change. I allow Michael to have a different suit jacket sometimes because people own multiple suits. They own multiple shirts. Like come on. This is something that it's a cartoon logic because we are used to working with pattern and technique whenever we're animating, especially. The idea of every episode a character's outfit changes is kind of a nightmare for continuity when you talk about visual effects and animation. So AI lets us skip a lot of that tediousness and create scenes that are very unique in that regard. Like the characters are allowed to have a opinion on their outfits, basically. They also merge whatever in the character reference. Okay. So as you can see inside this character reference, Michael has a suit on, Sage does not. But in the results that we got, Sage has just a different tie, sure, but she's even has kind of overalls in the third result here. And this is just extremely silly. I see you guys already found the silly ones and went, "Oh, that's too funny. Let's work on that." So like this big hot dog in Michael's mouth, them sharing the hot dog like it's freaking like what is that Disney movie with the dogs and the spaghetti? Yes, it's very silly result that we got off of here.
Lady in the Tramp.
Thank you so much, Genki. I really appreciate it. I totally missed out on I should have known that. I should have known Lady in the Tramp, but yes.
It took me a few minutes too. I was like, you know what it is?
Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was a little baby. But yeah. Baby. But what I wanted to show you guys here is actually what you guys can do with it, which I'm already seeing, like Fungi Mancer saying, 2 people picking mushrooms in the forest. Warm light. Okay. And look at this. I mean, it's just incredible that it's able to maintain anatomy and understanding of structure of these characters. And keep in mind, we're using Niji 6 right now. We're not even using version 6.1, the newest version of Midjourney. But Niji follows the rules of my characters really well. So in terms of demoing the multi-character CREF stuff, I think it is important to to start with Niji for this one. This is super cool though. Great job, one guy. I really like this result. So let's try this now with version 6.1. I will say that this is not an official feature of character referencing. It's also definitely not an official feature of version 6.1, but it is something that I want you guys to be able to explore and then find the limitations of, because you will certainly find limitations within this process quite quickly. And those limitations are oftentimes the variation between two characters. So I am taking advantage of the fact that my characters both wear business casual attire. They're in suits, they're in ties, they're both non-gendered in that way. Like, if anything, they're male gendered in their outfits. These are all things that will help you significantly if you want to replicate the results that we're seeing here today. But look at this with version 6.1. I'm so excited for Niji 6.1 whenever we get to that point. But what's amazing about this is just the anatomy is perfect. Like, there's no issues with how these two individual characters are picking mushrooms right now. That's pretty incredible. But we might not want Sage to to be wearing a suit, for example, because she does wear a suit sometimes, but in her character reference she doesn't wear a suit. So why don't we force her to wear a suit really quick? Or sorry, force her to wear her traditional work outfit. She's got a tie on, she's got the button up. There's a little bit of awkwardness with her eye in this one as well. So what we can do is we can hit vary region, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to select everything of her suit, okay? So I'm just going to boop, ba-doop, boop, and boop. Something like this. We'll make sure she leaves her cuffs on, okay? And that now I have basically the whole suit selected here, okay? And so under the character reference, because we have remix mode on, I can edit all this stuff. We are going to grab the two images of Sage, one, and paste that in here, and then two, and then paste that in here. Everything has to be pasted just after the parameter --cref in order for this to work. And then we're going to hit submit. We don't need to change anything from the prompt because the character reference is simply that powerful. It will override whatever is written in the prompt significantly. Not always completely, but almost just significantly rewrite the prompt. So it is something that when we run all this stuff in here, we can then check on our eye to see how well that result is. And if we need to, we can change the prompt to start to avoid the suit, the jacket, that kind of thing. And you could see we basically we got it a little bit. Like, there's some in her outfit that is like, starting to change here. But let's try to double back a little bit, and we will add. Let's see. First thing I want to do is just make sure that we have everything selected that is her suit and outfit. I'm going to even select some of her hair at the end here, some of the tie. But the thing I can do now is add a negative prompt because I'm noticing the suit's not disappearing, right? So I'm at the very end of this, I'm going to write -no, which is a negative, and then say suit. And we're just going to get rid of the latent imagery for a suit from the possible end results of what we got. Whenever we prompt anything, we're actually asking it to visit a certain latent space inside of Midjourney. That latent space has neighboring shapes, neighboring things. Like, for example, we have something called the gnome code. It's a girl in a green tunic and a hat that's based off my friend Fran. And the thing about that is that it's extremely close to latent space for Link from Zelda. And oftentimes Zelda will just appear. The Link will just appear inside of my prompts for Gnome. So we either avoid that by doing a negative prompt on the word Zelda. That helps a lot. Or more likely, we are simply ignoring the results that look too much like Zelda or Link from Zelda. So now with the negative prompt of suit, she's no longer wearing a suit in any of the results. Okay. So this shows you just how powerful it is to know your parameters and to be proactive about, essentially about understanding how Midjourney actually works. Okay. So at this point, we can select whatever result, and we can just kind of take it from there. Everyone should. Okay, so let's see here. Uh, let's select this this fourth result here. Okay, and at this point, we can highlight her face and give a different expression. So we can basically highlight everything here. So, and keep in mind, if you like the face shape, if you like the orientation of her face, in-paint less area than this. Like, especially if it's just her talking, you can just in-paint the lower jaw. But you need to make sure you include things like the neck and the jawline throughout, because when people talk, I mean, even as I'm talking to you now with this character, you can actually pay attention to something that my character is doing, which is look at the jaw, look at the bottom of the jaw. I have it bouncing around whenever Victor talks. And the reason why that is because that's what your jaw does, right? The jawline, the silhouette of your shape changes as you talk. And if you do not allow for those changes to be included, as in you're essentially in painting it extremely tightly around the face, like just like, oh, here's where a new mouth should be. You're not allowing for the dynamic changes in the shape of the face necessary to change her mouth to say open or gasping or whatever. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to first get rid of the no prompt. So the suit, because we already don't have a suit. We know that's redundant. Let's actually ask for her to be concerned and worried. You'll notice that a lot of my prompts are very short. And the reason why that is because one, I understand that character referencing is way too powerful to be too obsessive about what's inside of your prompt itself. But more importantly, it's about the fact that I am actually trying to promote diversity out of my results. If you leave your prompts really, really short, what happens is it allows for the maximum amount of diversity of the results, while the more words you add bit by bit by bit actually constrains the latent space, which is why people who write enormous prompts can sometimes get stuck. Okay. But if you look here, I definitely got a result. I would say the fourth one or the second one here follows in line with my in-paint. Okay. Like she is upset. She is concerned and worried. The fourth one is definitely a lot more about the concern, but the I would say like the third one would remind me of someone who just kind of realized that this is a mushroom that you shouldn't eat, and it's just like, wait a minute, and then watching your friend eat. Yeah, so on and so forth. There's some fun stuff that can be interpreted with just between these four results, but you could see that because the jaw had to open a little bit, the shape is slightly different. This is slightly wider. This one's slightly thinner, so on and so forth. I am focusing mostly on shadows and anatomy whenever I'm in painting with a character reference like this. Okay. All right, sweet. So at this point, let's see what else we got here. Colorful magic mushrooms again. Nice. Two people playing chess in a New York City park from Really Smart. And it's really incredible what you can do by just running a lower character weight, because a lot of times, like if you say ran this at 100%, there's a good chance that you're going to get some pretty rigid results. You're going to keep seeing the same results again and again and again. If we lower the character weight, which is what Really Smart did here, that lower character weight allows for diversity in the character designs. And you can kind of look at it as honing into the face. So the lower your character weight is, the more likely only the face is going to be preserved. The higher your character weight is, the more likely it's going to preserve the rest of the body, the rest of the outfit, which will limit your results. So you could see that with a character weight of 30, basically 30% of Sage is represented in these results, right? So her playing chess here with Michael, actually really funny to me. Like this third result here. To me, it says, you know, that there's something pretty fun here that I think could have some potential to become a comic of itself, right? This might be an inspirational moment to start a comic, but we need to start to see what happens when we start altering this. Like, because I recognize that Sage's outfit is way too realistic with the version with Niji 6 on right now. In fact, this kind of looks like a version 6.1 result. I'm surprised it's Niji, but what we can do though is essentially do a variation subtle. It's going to pop up the window again to edit things. We're not going to worry about that. Variation subtle lets us understand what is able to change within the current depth map or composition of the image that we're working with. So if we were to imagine this as a depth map, Michael, then the chessboard, and then her are the feature set. They're the subject of this image here. The foreground is the bushes that are on the bottom here. And in the background is literally everything else, the tree, the pole, so on and so forth. By doing a variation subtle, we can see that we not only got different outfits from Sage, like different types of suits, but we also got different outfits in Michael as well. So you can re-roll this as many times as you need to kind of get the outfits right for your characters. Most likely, unless they are like siblings or just extremely close in how they look, you're going to run into too much diversity, and you're gonna have to in-paint a lot of stuff. Maybe it's enough though. Maybe you just need the hair of both characters to be accurate, and then everything else you can in-paint or make excuses for in your narrative. So really quickly, I just want to say thank you to Legal Beagle. He popped in here for a moment just to say hi. Thank you so much, buddy. It's good to see you. I'm glad. I'm when it comes to the comic that I released this week, there was a lot of stuff that that kind of came in where people were actually sending me praise for not just like, okay, you're thorough, you give tutorials, you teach people how to make this stuff. I was getting praise from people who were like, so I thought I was an ally, and I realized that I have not been listening to my gay friends. Have people just been afraid to tell me that they're gay was another message that I got, and I felt so heartwarmed to be able to say yes, like that there's people that almost in everyone's life right now that especially if you are, you know, in a position of authority, or maybe you have like some kind of assumed inclination towards not being open or at least an ally in that regard. There are people who are afraid to talk to you openly, that want to tell you. They want to tell you that they're gay. They want to tell you that they're bi, whatever it ends up being. They're non-binary, whatever they want to tell you. They do. And this comic addresses that. This comic addresses the very real kind of reality that being gay in the 90s was a very scary thing. I don't beat around the bush on this stuff. I think that it wouldn't be a real story if I did. So this story, you can see, evolves into two characters speaking to each other. Okay. This is one of my comics that has a locked camera, right? Where the perspective is actually locked to the to the agent that's taking photos of them. Okay. So you see this agent taking photos. The angle of the comic panels is actually from the perspective of the camera that's in the car. Okay. So I'm immediately setting you up for a sense of paranoia and oh my God, they're being watched. There is a callback to a previous comic about My Dad Is Not a Plant, Michael. That is something where I am very conscious of I understand that people are going to be kind of confused by that. So I was like, okay, not a plant. Maybe they meant like an espionage, kind of like a plant, like someone who's listening in for the government or whatever it ends up being. I wanted to lean on that. So I basically said, yeah, yeah, like my dad's not a plant, and then confuse people a little bit on purpose because the rest of it's like, wait a minute, you're gay. And then we get into this conversation that Michael and Sage have, and you can see her excitement and Michael's frustration with her excitement, all just kind of playing out. Okay. I won't be showing the rest of the comic just because I know it gets a bit lewd and whatnot. For it, just for the sake of education, I want to focus on these first couple pages. But you're welcome to double back and read the comic in full. It's right here inside of VC text. And basically, it is one of those things where the comic itself is a derivative of zooms, basically. So if I now come back to this result of Michael and Sage, I like the allies. That's so cute. If we go back to the prompt of Michael and Sage playing chess, okay, looks like they're going to be playing checkers with this one. All right, it'll just take a moment. So it was kind of interesting. I originally had a rainbow flag in part of the comic, but understand the rainbow flag was definitely not seen as gay back then. Purple was the gay color back in the early 90s. So maybe and feel free to correct me, guys, but in terms of like representation and all that kind of stuff, that was not a thing. Yeah, it is very different. But
What about like a pink triangle?
Right, there was a
Wasn't that a
there was a pink triangle. I think especially for lesbians, it was a pink triangle.
Mhm.
But I think that comes down to was it the equal sign as well? I just don't know when the years that these things it took a while for people to kind of hone in
Yeah.
representation.
Like they used to do the gender symbols and link them. That was a nice one.
kind of like
So you do,
the coexist religious ones.
yeah. They'd have like male, female, and like they would be linked. Let me see if I can find those.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the evolution of that. So I had to be aware of that because I'm trying to be as accurate as possible with these comics. Okay. So what I want to show you guys though is how I got to the point where there are multiple, like these are all generated results, but the results have a believable like variation to them, but they're also extremely locked into place. Like, how do you get the comics to look like this? Okay. And that's because the style reference and the character reference are emphasizing comic panels. Okay. So if I open up the style reference really quick, obviously this is all comic panels. Okay. So that's a huge help when it comes to getting those results. And under the character reference, it is blocked or framed with a hard color. You notice there's a block up here, just kind of invades the whole composition while the laptop kind of bleeds over it. I'm actually replicating some of the AI results that happens when you prompt for comics. So what we can do is now that we have both the character reference and the style reference in there, if we just zoom out with the character reference included, it will dominate however the results are for this, it will dominate the rest of the zoom as well. So we may want to take the character reference out, but we want to make sure we preserve Michael's face too. So let's leave it in there for now. We're going to hit custom zoom. And first thing I'm going to do is change the aspect ratio to something quite tall. So let's do 1:2. Okay. So it is 1 length wide and 2 lengths tall. Right now it's 3:2. So it's 3 lengths wide, 2 lengths tall. By having it 1:2, we're essentially going to have a very tall image, but we also want to set the zoom to 1, which will make sure that we don't actually zoom out. We just kind of reframe the image to something taller. Okay. On the official website, this is a lot easier to do and a lot easier to understand because they are not asking you to do, ratios. They're giving you a slider to be able to decide between big and small. So, or like whether you're reframing or zooming. So what I'm going to do though, is I need to emphasize that I want multiple panels in this result. So let's do multiple panels depicting, and then whatever you write in there is going to be what ends up being the result. we'll see if they're still playing chess with this default. We're like just working off of what we have here, but we might need to emphasize that like he picks up the rook, or he he does a checkmate on her or something like that in order to give more direction to this scene. And I want to quickly thank to Rhapsody as well. It's good to see you, Rhapsody. Rhapsody will be doing an after party on our Discord server. You guys are welcome to join it. We will get into that and explaining a little more about what the server means, like what you can do on my server. You're basically going. We're basically going to take the. We're basically just letting you guys come on stage and be able to share your projects and make stuff together. So definitely be sure to join us for that when we get to the end of the stream here today. But thank you so much for linking that, Kinky. You guys are welcome to join. And then as soon as this stream is done, we will have what is it? We will have a group chat basically where you can come in and say hey with me and Rhapsody. I definitely am excited to hear from you guys and what you guys are doing, because that's the whole reason I'm doing this. I want a collaborative group to make things. So let's do it. Let's make things together. But this initial, we're at 95%. We're almost done with this. Zooms always take a little longer. And we do have the character reference set to 30 based on the default results from what is it from who prompt this? I just want to make sure I get it right. Was it Getters? Let's see here. Yes. No, it was Really Smart. Thank you so much, Really Smart, for giving us this prompt here today. So the results here, we could see that we have we essentially have two people talking in front of the bushes. Like the bushes get extended, sometimes they don't, but we definitely are seeing panels, which is the most important thing. We basically have confirmed that the combination of multiple panels depicting and having a style reference that includes the idea or the visual representation of comic panels. We are at a point now where we can go, yes, okay. So this is working, but right now we haven't given it any new context. But we also want to experiment with removing parts of the prompt, because we might be getting some redundancy with this as well. This is what I was talking about needing to remove character referencing. The reason being is that a lot of our characters are already represented within the first prompt that we have. Okay, so I'm just going to resubmit that. Oops, I forgot that I have to take out character weight too. So let's remove this cref. And when you get an error like that, you would just want to remove the character weight, because character weight should not be included if there's no character reference. Okay. So we're going to hit submit on this. Now that we have a, what is it? I'm so sorry your image got denied there, Rhapsody. I can tell you're definitely aiming for some beach day volleyball with Sage's mother and Rio, your Rhapsody Rio here. I'm excited to see, like, you kind of have to balance, especially beach episode stuff, right? We actually had, me and Fran and our wives had a beach episode for ourselves today. We just got back from the beach. I'm still wearing my swim trunks, actually. You guys can't see it under this desk, but I'm very much wearing bright red swim trunks. But what we can do is we're gonna just wait for these results to come back in. So it's at 35%. These always take a little extra time, Zooms especially. I got more. Yes, you do got more. So yeah, I love the idea. This is like the opening to a Freaky Friday, right? Like, we're gonna swap bodies really quick. So it's like beep boop beep boop beep boop beep, and then the victor is Sage and Sage is Victor, right? I would not know how to portray this scene like in a way that people would understand it. I know how I could get Victor to talk like Sage, but getting Sage to talk like Victor would be very weird for me. But let's take a look at what we got when we remove the character referencing here. So it's just about finished here. We'll give it a moment. I got myself a smoothie. I feel like David again. So definitely enjoying the smoothie. If you see me go mute, by the way, it's because I'm enjoying a smoothie. I'm sorry. All right. Oh wow. Okay. Uh, Rhapsody just character referenced both Sage and Victor together, and it was a female Victor. I really like this. This is cute. That's fun.
Definitely having smoothie envy of you at this point.
There's a couple of you who want smoothies right now. I went to Smoothie King and I got myself a revitalizer because I was like, I want to be in tip top shape for today. So I protein shake, I guess. But let's take a look at this because this is pretty important. If you're wondering about how I was able to get dynamic interactions between the characters while preserving like the compositions and stuff, you'll notice that the compositions are constantly changing here, but now we have a variety of emotions and reactions from characters. It's more likely to be comic panels. So all the results evoke a comic panel now. But we don't really see the same angle, right? Maybe we don't want the same angle. Maybe we do want to see these kind of profile shots of the characters. But in terms of like, say, we like the first one here, we just in paint all the corrections for Michael, and then he would be in this shot or in these 3 panels. But let's do a combination of both, but we'll do something really fun here, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to take this original image, okay? Middle click it or get the link for it, copy it, and we are going to use this as an image prompt for the zoom particularly. So now I can re-roll the zoom out again, but this time I'm going to keep everything the same. So we have a style reference, we have the Niji and the correct zoom values. I'm going to paste that link of the image we're zooming out of, by the way, in the front of the prompt. This is called an image prompt. We are basically saying this image now takes up 50% of the prompt, and the other 50% goes to multiple panels depicting 2 people playing chess. And then we're going to hit submit. What we're essentially doing by doing this is directing the composition of the other 2 panels that are inside of this comic. So right now, that's cute. That's cute. And Sage looks like she can kick my ass. But like the key thing here is right now, each one of these compositions are different. Okay. They evoke 2 people in the same place because it's basing it off of whatever's in the center image. That's why also setting the zoom to 1 is so important, because if it zooms out too far, it adds way too much possibility for Midjourney to insert new like creative solutions to things. I would much rather have I would rather have more control than that. But look what happens when we include an image prompt that matches the panel that we're zooming out of. Okay. It's finishing right now, but what we can essentially do is force the comic to stay as this scene. We're basically saying, hey, we want to keep this comic a 2-shot. And yes, we have look at the top here. We have Sage going, you checkmated me or whatever. And then it's a gobbledygook face at the end here. But this is huge. This lets us be able to start to make a scene, right? To describe what's happening here, to envision what these actors are doing, right? And we could direct it. We could change the words to be like checkmate, like I said earlier. But now we're basically getting that by inferring what the result, like what she's saying here. What are they talking about? That kind of thing. And you can see the art style change pretty dramatically in the bottom here. So we're going to hit vary region. And we can simply re-roll that bottom panel. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of come in, make sure I select the panel here. If I really want to guarantee that this is a 3rd panel, I want to make sure a little bit of that white is preserved inside of this result. So let's go for something like this. Okay. And I'm just going to hit submit again. I'm not even going to change the prompt. Okay. Because I'm happy with the first 2 here. Anything that's not selected in your in-paint, okay, is going to be basically like a reference material for what should be used for the in-paint. Like, people oftentimes do not take into account that whatever's inside of your canvas is very, very dominative of the results that you're going to get with in-painting. So If you ask for, oh yeah, give me a new hairstyle, it's most likely going to be a very subtle variation of the existing hairstyles inside of your canvas. Okay. So I've basically abused the crap out of image prompting in order to get these sorts of results. Okay. So these two results here are literally me going, okay, image prompt 1 and then image prompt 2. Like I'll just zoom down and then I have that saved. And the bottom left here result was me basically isolating one result of Sage, then pulling out the comic more to match the composition that's up here. The very first panel like is actually the very last panel I generated because I had the rest of this scene like done, right? And I wanted it to be that this locked composition is very familiar with people. Like they know they read comics and they go, this is how comics are normally. Most of my comics have dramatically changing camera angles, not anymore because of image prompting. Okay. The most important panel that comes from this is actually the one that everyone reacted very positively to, which is this one. It's Sage going in for a hug with Michael. This was not possible before character referencing with multiple characters inside of your reference image. Okay, I'm calling it multi-character referencing or a multi-character cref, right? But that's because I'm literally like hacking at this as it's all experimental, guys. It may not even work for your characters. It actually will most likely not work for your characters. You're going to need to experiment a lot with the dynamics and the limitations of character referencing to really be able to get to this point. But now that I had this scene, I started off with just this pan, like between the two trees here. That was the original prompt, and then I zoomed out. And then I zoomed out again and it's asked for a car with a guy at the camera pointing at them. Right. So this is 2 zooms right here. And that was the last thing I did was make this panel, the very first panel. I needed a setup for this scene. So I was like, oh shoot, immediately going into stuff that Reddit's gonna, or at least random Redditors are gonna be confused about. So there you go. That's how I made this. Is I basically just kept zooming out with image prompts and then deleting either the character reference or the image prompt in order to direct the exact kind of result. So like, I am making a whole new prompt by the time we've gotten to the hug here, right? But yeah, it's incredible what you can do with the multi-character referencing here. So let's take a look at the result that we got from that in paint. Okay. You notice the top 2 panels on all 4 results are the same because we're only changing the in paint of the bottom panel. Okay. And it's amazing how well it's able to preserve some of the dynamics here. Like, look, we don't even have Michael referenced at all inside of this comic. It's just the back of his head. And it's able to give me a puppet that is super close to Michael already because it's looking at it. The latent space around the back of this person's head looks like it's pretty close to the latent space of Michael. Okay. So if we can let's do the second one. Okay. Say I'm like happy with these results, but there's something about Michael that's wrong here, which is true. There's a couple of things with his hair that are wrong, like so on and so forth. What I'm going to do is I am going to grab a reference for Michael and we will in-paint him as a correction here. So, the easiest thing for me to do is simply to grab an image of Michael already. So let's just go snippet. We're going to use the snipping tool. And we are just going to highlight and select Michael. Okay. You can use anything. You can use Photoshop. You can use MS Paint, whatever. But the goal is to get an image that is as close to like the angle and look that you want for the character. Let's go with this one here. And now we're going to in-paint a new character reference that hopefully will match Michael a little better. So let's go ahead and write --cref, paste the link to that new image that we just snipped and pasted into Discord. And then we're going to highlight what's wrong about him. So let's highlight the hair. So up here, the hair as well. It will not recreate the eyebrow very well, which is the little like separation on the left side of his eyebrow, his left eyebrow. But we can come in here and change any other aspect that we want as we need to. But I'm mostly allowing the character reference to once again over dominate the results, including the results of the image prompt that's here. See the link at the top, as well as the style reference. So character reference is like ridiculously OP. It's one of the things that where you're going to be more frustrated with how without a big character sheet of like turnarounds and different angles of your character referencing is very strict without lowering that weight. And if you lower the weight, you're going to end up in a place where you're like, it may be a lot of work to get your character back. Okay. So Real Smart here did a new prompt. 2 people playing chess, and then they included the image prompt, right? This image here. And you could see that unlike the zooms where we're saying, hey, let's zoom out and see what results neighbor our results. These are new results, but because the image prompt's in the front there, we are always going to get Sage on or almost always going to get Sage on the left and Michael on the right because it matches the image that's inside the prompt. This is very common for me where I'm going like, I like this scene, but I kind of want to redo this composition. I kind of want to redo this shot. Okay. So say like in one of the comics, let's go with the Wait Year comic. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and snip this entirely. So copy that, come over to Discord and paste this. Okay. Now we have a link to just this panel. Okay. And it has text in it. So we're probably going to get some text in the results. But now if I go, okay, they're having a conversation, I can now paste the link in the front, 2 people. And then instead of saying playing chess, I'm going to say it has something relevant to the comics. So I'm going to say 2 people making a discovery outside the corporate plaza in New York City. Okay, that's let's do 1990s New York City instead of specifically 1994. Okay, we have a character reference in there. We have a style reference as well. Let's submit this, and the character reference is set to 30, so we're going to see a little bit of variation here, and then we'll see what happens. But you can see with the in paint of Michael, right? Only one of the hairs are correct, which is the second one here. And the front poke of his hair is up and out, like it should be like that. So we just need to keep in painting and maybe get some more images of Michael. So I have Michael saved right now in Midjourney. So you can go use /prefer option list and then option set, and then write whatever name you want for your character. You can see I have a whole bunch of names here. Okay. Write a name. Let's just do like, I don't know, like Bobby, just something to give you a word. And then you hit plus more and hit value. Okay. This will let you include links to this. Okay. So like if say like we really liked how this Michael result was coming out with just this one image, we could save a whole new version of Michael here. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to show you one that I've already saved. So let's go ahead and click on Very In Paint again. We're going to highlight everything again that's wrong about Michael. Let's go with the hair here. Okay. And then under CREF, I'm actually going to add a new one, -- Michael. Okay. And then hit submit. Okay. All right. So this is giving me a little bit of issue here. So the reason why that happens, by the way, is because there's currently a bug in Midjourney that certain character prefers don't work in paints and certain zooms. Okay. I fixed this very easily because it saves my region select. I fixed this very easily by just making a new prompt really quick or grabbing the links from the option set list and just write -- Michael and then hit submit on that. That will replace all of the anywhere where I wrote -- Michael is now replaced with a bunch of links. So that's how you save your character in Midjourney. We're going to go to very region now that we have the links copied. We can then paste where it says -- Michael because of the bug. We have to get raw links for now. And there you go. We now have a much more aggressive area set and also the links all there. So like if you see here, We may want to change the back of his head eventually, maybe his outfit. So let's change his outfit here because it's not supposed to be a corduroy kind of jacket. We will just go ahead and hit submit on this one and see what we get. But it is important to recognize that you really only want to change one thing at a time, because if you change dramatic elements of your picture, what's going to happen is you're going to end up in a position where your results are far too random, far too weird, frankly. You really need to be pretty conservative with how much you're in painting, but also why you're in painting certain areas. Okay. So the two people like this is too funny. What is your style reference here actually? Is it the same? Okay, yes it is. Okay, cool. So it's really fun to see you guys messing with my comics this way. It's super cool actually. But I mostly want to show you guys what happens when we in paint the character details that are a little wrong, right? Like the same thing with here. Like I would probably in paint Michael's hair to be different, and his eyebrows are probably what I would fix manually. Like I think that I want to hone in the expression there. So I'm oftentimes drawing those expressions just to kind of land me on something. But yeah, so at this point, once this guy loads, you can see here it's almost done. Once this guy loads, we should have a version of Michael that's a lot more closer to who he is and a lot more real. Yeah, let's see what we get out of this. Let's do a quick recap actually of VC text really quick. So I'm gonna come up here, hit fantasy stage. Okay. If you look here, we have VC text and VC create. So VC text is where you can come and type whatever you want, and we'll be able to chat about it. You'll see your username and chat bubble will occasionally pop up on stream. All my streams are uploaded to YouTube. It takes me a week or two to get things up. Sorry. But you will see your stuff show up here on VC text, but also on VC create, which Kinky just linked. VC create is where we're currently prompting everything. Okay, so if you do have a project or a prompt that you want to show off, you're welcome to prompt it here. You can also use /show, okay, to paste the job ID with it, because the job ID will let you be able to basically pull this prompt out of out of your own server and into the creator public. So very, very powerful thing to take advantage of. But you can see here that after we asked it to in paint based off of Michael, the first one and the fourth one are probably the most accurate. So let's go with the fourth one here. I really do dig this. It's really fun, and it's something that I think that if done correctly, and you guys are like peer reviewed in the sense that you've had people come in and talk to you, and seeing your work and going, yeah, it's good. Then yes, you're going to you're far more likely to get praise for the results that you're getting here, because at the end of the day, we project a lot into the work that we try to make here, and I don't want to be in a position where I'm necessarily deciding what's good and what's bad, especially for my audience and stuff, because the weights are different. Okay, like let me put it up like this. Okay, when we're talking about the criticism of an HBO production or something like that, we need to have the results be very good. There's only one chance to nail a premiere, whatever. The reality is that when we're making comics, especially as small creators, our audience isn't dependent on that. Like we can be far more independent. We can change up our stories. We can change up how our characters look and largely be fine. We have the authority to decide for ourselves what is right, what is ethical, blah, 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 blah. And the thing is like, as long as you use, this with intent of not plagiarizing, of not taking things from people, you will find that this is far better at being true to you. Okay. So instead of style referencing some popular artist online or in real life or whatever, image prompt off of yourself. Like try to take a photo of yourself and then direct a character with the photo of yourself. Okay, so I won't be able to announce who this is, but there's another artist that I've been collaborating with, and in order to get realistic poses of your characters, of their character, I just asked them, give me a picture of what you want. Like, give me a picture of you acting the character out. Okay. And he did. He sent me an image, and I used that as an image prompt at the front of my prompt. And the character, the CREF, manipulated the character to fit that pose. Okay. So this is going to be the kind of like the big show out of this. Is you've got the comic, you've read the comic, and I really do appreciate it if you did. You don't have to, okay? But I want to show you guys what happens when we really take full advantage of this as artists, okay? So let's take a look at the character reference we have here. Sorry, the character reference tutorial that I wrote. This actually is what probably caused a little bit of a shakeup inside of Reddit 2 days ago. So I posted it inside of VC text for you guys. Feel free to save it and share it. I would actually really appreciate it if you shared it. And what this is a complete, like, sort of visual guide to how I do iterative image prompting. Okay. So we have the silly walks from Monty Python. And then I applied a character reference of Vicky, which you can see on the bottom left corner, the exact, like, kind of like prompt construction of this. And then I said, hey, she's drinking it out of a straw. That was the prompt, I believe, was drinking out of a straw, and used the silly walk as the image prompt. This manipulated Vicky to have the leg up and out and stuff like that. We had a couple of our members run through a couple different prompts for this to get her to pose like this, but this is essentially the summary of it. You use an image prompt, and then you guide your characters with the image prompt. But I drew a lot of the comic. I drew a lot of the minor kind of interactions, especially at the last issue where Vicky is acting like a chicken. I drew Vicky, a very minimalist version of Vicky, which you can see here. I drew a very minimalist version of Vicky. And let's zoom out a little bit here so you guys can see that a bit better. Okay. This is the version of Vicky that I drew. I mean, what I was trying to emphasize here is that she puts her fists, which, by the way, her fists are like broken as hell. They don't actually anatomically make too much sense inside of my drawing. But what I really wanted to emphasize here was that when she does the chicken pose, it pushes her breasts forward, right? So I was like, and just like kind of making fun of Michael. And so I wanted all that to be conveyed. And I don't know if I really did 100%, but if you notice the initial results that we got, which includes hands in armpit plus character reference, we didn't really get her to do the pose exactly, but I got her into the shape that I needed her to be. Okay. So like you see, the top left result was the one that I ended up picking, right? And the only thing I did from here was apply a variation subtle, okay, and then remove the image prompt from it. So if you look at the middle kind of example of the prompt here, the image prompt is the one in the image prompt is the one in red, and the character reference is all in blue. Okay. So this was the image prompt for pushing a hand into a face. I wanted that face to be Vicky's face, and that's what I got. It's amazing what you can do with directing with image prompts. Okay. You could tell that the initial result that I got did not include the hand actually covering her face, but it did include a wrist sticking towards her hand. And because the character reference dominates whatever result, including the image prompt, it will force her face over the hand. So then I removed the character reference and in-painted a new hand there, and that was it. I got Vicky getting, pummeled in the face. Okay. So very similarly with this, as soon as I removed the image prompt and I, with the variation subtle, I saw a cleaned up version of my art, or like the cleaned up version of this first result. show up. Okay, so you notice it's kind of rough there. The colors are a little too bright. They're a little random. But here it's refined. It's a lot closer to the character reference because I'm doing a variation subtle. So there you go. Yeah. So amazing. In my opinion, it's amazing what you can do by just having a Huion, or sorry, just having a tablet. I shouldn't say a brand. But if you just have a drawing tablet, right, you can make some amazing stuff with Midjourney. My God, it's amazing what you can do. But I would highly recommend sharing this sheet whenever somebody is like, how can I, you're just making images at the push of a button. Okay. This is the image. This is the result that makes people go, wait a minute, you can do more things than just push a button. And it's especially useful when people go, oh, just pick up a pencil. You shouldn't be generating images. You should pick up a pencil. And I'm like, oh, I very much pick up a pencil. I probably pick up more pencils than you do. Here you go. And I show this, and it's just, it doesn't. It's got one where you are doing. At least it's got a smart ass response. Good to go, baked in there for you. So there you go. But let's go ahead. I personally just love the manual correction process. Right. It is actually really fun to do the iterative processing where you're in painting corrections because you know what you're doing, right? You're actively and I'll pop up here so we can see what we're talking about here. Yeah, Rhapsody said, I personally just love the manual correction process. It is really fun. Iterative variations are really, really just a joy for me to dig into because it gives me so many potential options to see, to interact with, and just to, generally be like stoked to to be able to be like, oh, I had a good idea of where I was going with this, but I love the direction the character put in here. Much better than the one I got. Literally one of my favorite reasons to keep drawing IRL from Kinky. Yes, absolutely. It is one thing where you're like, I think a lot of like very seasoned artists get confused why people would want to do that when they already have some drawing skills. They feel like they're just trying to cheat, like they're just trying to get ahead. And that's the mistake about seeing art as a commodity, right? It's like you're literally saying, oh yeah, you're just trying to beat me at the game of art. Oh, come on. That's not what art's all about, and you know it. Art's all about wanting to send a message, wanting to get your expression out there, to wanting to have something that you believe in get seen and understood. There's so much more to it than it's a game that I'm going to be that I am in the lead for, and you are trying to beat me. It's one of those things that's hyper exaggerated because of the content creation of the world, right? Or the content creation of social media. So if you remove that from your expectations, that I'm not going to do that, like it's such a big improvement. My God, it's just so much fun. I don't want to beat anybody. I just want to have happy meditative experience to paint and make something better without having to start from zero all the time. That's actually a really good point, Rhapsody. It is in many ways. You could argue it is a form of art therapy. I really like it. I've been given a rebuttal to that where some people were like, well, maybe you're just avoiding seeing a therapist. And I'm like, no, you talk to your therapist like about why it makes you happier, and they will encourage you to do it. Like that's really all it boils down to. Really Smart says, I've been working on this emu character, but haven't gotten it to incorporate Photoshop/drawing tablet yet. So excited to work more on that and take pictures to the next level. Oh yeah. If you have like a pet or an animal that you're trying to replicate, you could actually like train. You can train your dog to like put the pose that you want for your photo, and then run that as a prompt in order to get your Falcor giant dog prompt in order to get it to behave the way you want. It's way better to actually work with images this way. So I use the silly walks from Monty Python because it's something that everyone recognizes, but drawing to me is the real way to say, hey, I own this. This is mine. It's not an homage. It's not a parody. That is entirely because I drew it, and it's really hard pressed for people to go like, but it doesn't fit the narrative. You're not just pushing a button and making an image. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. And now you need to stop saying that I am. because I have all the proof. I followed my lead on this one and followed through. So the fact that the post got to 40,000 upvotes definitely irked some people. There was some anti AI comics that were posted shortly afterward that were made with Midjourney following my tutorial, trying to get me banned. So I'm glad that the mods are very level-headed and responsive to stuff like that, and those posts got nuked. So hey, yay, happy day. But it is one of those things where you're going to get pushback. You're going to get people that say that you're not an artist, blah 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 blah.
I feel like it's one of those things where people who abuse the YouTube algorithm all the time and claim copyrights and stuff like that are just now starting to get ignored. And they notify the creator now. It's like, hey, this one's trying to get you banned again. Watch out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, well, this one's abusing my copyright by using my image, by complaining about my channel. That's not what it's for. That's not what the complain button's for. You know what I mean? Right. And people are sick of just getting multiple complaints by the same person who's always trying to get one person shut down.
Yeah.
And that's probably how it is on Reddit right now, too, in the comics community, where they're like, all right, this guy is really just reaching to get you shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that I it's an alternative account to an established artist that I actually recognize. So I'm like, I don't want to get anybody. I don't want to cause drama. I don't want to start to.
Yeah, but the more they hear about it and the more they see that it's this one person, the right. less they're going to pay attention to it.
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm just happy that the mods did what they did and that we can move on from this. But it is certainly true that whenever a comic of mine gets over 20,000 upvotes or so, it's going to drive some people bonkers. They're so hard pressed to believe that I didn't put any effort. This is a low effort comic. It took 2 weeks to make this comic, guys. Like this is not easy or fast. You really need to actually take time to learn this stuff. And when you do, it's incredibly satisfying. I think Rhapsody and Kinky and all these sorts of folks can testify to that. But there is always arguments to be made, like on both sides, right? There's people who argue about like, but what about the collection, the scraping, and the like. And I always retort back to the exact same thing Bay Rate from the Lord of the Ring movies say, which is we're modulating random noise, okay? Because we are modulating random noise, that means that if I generate a soup can, right, it'll most likely just be known as a soup can. But if I generate 1,000 soup cans, right, somebody else could look through those 1,000 images of soup cans and say, hey, this one looks like a Warhol. I'm going to label this Warhol. And as soon as they label that Warhol, according to some people, that is theft. Even though Warhol's work was never referenced, never seen, it was simply a human interpretation of noise. That is,
even though Warhol's art was literally a copy of.
Yeah, exactly. Even though Warhol's art is like purposely low effort in that way, like purposely not low effort, but purposely almost like artistically condescending, right? I mean, he made movies staring at buildings doing nothing overnight, like the Empire movie, whatever, where it's literally just the Empire State Building for 12 hours on footage. That was more of a technical achievement to get the film recording for that long. But like, come on, like this is silly. So when people talk about the like at least for the scraping side of stuff, I'm like, look, we're labeling random noise. When you complain about theft, what it means is that you're ignorant of max. That's really all that it means. Okay. So I'm very, very aware of that. Let's see. Daria said, I missed. How do you create those character references with the names, those preferential functions? Oh, I'm more than happy to show you that. Okay. Let's quickly save one of these as a /prefer. Okay. So we have Michael here. I have a whole bunch of links of Michael. Okay. So I'm going to copy those links and I am going to write /prefer and then option set. Okay, this is going to let us set a prefer option in Midjourney. This basically lets us save our characters. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have a whole bunch of links of Michael in my clipboard, or I copied it, I can save him as Michael, or whatever name for your character you have. You see that I have 2 different versions of Michael already. But what I can do now is hit plus more, value, and then paste all the links into there. As soon as I hit enter, whenever I write -- Michael, it'll replace that with the links. And you can do this for a lot of different stuff. It's not limited to just image links, okay? So like, for example, I have one that Legal Beagle gave me. So let's do a fire mage, okay? Just something fantasy related. Then I'm going to write -- gnomed. What he did is he took my character, Gnome, from a fantasy series that we're working on, and turned her into a style reference and had a couple additional parameters attached to that. So by writing -- gnomed, look at how much extra stuff it added to the prompt. I only wrote fire mage gnomed at the with the, and what it did is it added all the parameters that we have designed to give us results that are, what do we call, Linclair, or Ling Declare, where it's clean line, the clean line aesthetic, which is incredibly important for when we're kind of trying to composite and work with bigger projects. Okay, we want a certain aesthetic to be consistent all the way through. So now look at this. Look at, we have a fire mate. I love the hair. I love the fire hair that's in 2 of these results, but this one is so damn cute. And it's all because we were able to autofill with that. Okay, so I am super sad that we don't have the prefer options on the website by now. And honestly, Rhapsody, we don't even have weights on images inside of the website right now. There's a lot of limitations to the website, and it's okay. Like, we're just going to take time to get there. And I've made proposals, but like, I mostly want to see all the functions that we have on Discord eventually get over to the website. But for now, we don't have image weights. We don't have prefers. We don't have there's some limitations to the website that we can currently do in Midjourney. It's the Midjourney Discord.
I do know that it is on their list of priorities.
Yeah, I hope so. Especially
Yeah.
since we work so much with image prompts here. It really will make a huge difference to be able to get that. But let's see. My favorite photo is of Andy Warhol's After the Party, and it's a picture of a messy table. So unserious. Yeah, right. I love that. Everything is a remix anyway. Oh yeah, you're right. Everything is a derivative in some way. But I'm glad I was able to help you there, Daria, with the /prefer. And then otherwise, guys, I mostly wanted to show you my experimentation with multi-character CREFs and all that stuff. And you can see that by saving our characters individually and including an image of both of our characters together, we are essentially able to get dynamic interactions with our characters and then clean up the results of those later on. Because we have Sage and Michael in this shot completed here, what I'm gonna kind of, at least for this subject, leave us on is I want to show you what happens when we now expand with a completed comic. I'm going to say this is a completed comic because Sage is like going like, "Damn it, you checkmated me," and he's kind of gloating about it. All right, that's the kind of headcanon that I've made up just now by looking at this. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit custom zoom on it. Okay, and then I am going to change the zoom to 1 again, but this time I'm going to change the aspect ratio to 3:2. So now it's going to be 3 lengths wide and 2 lengths tall. That will essentially make it so that instead of 3 panels or 3 sections of this comic, we will have 9 sections of this comic. So what we're going to do is we're going to first delete the character reference because we want to only refer to what's inside the canvas for now. So let's delete the character reference. And then we are going to take the style reference and we'll leave it there for now, but we probably don't even need it anymore because we've established the comic panels. We've established our characters. There's a good chance the results are actually going to be better at this point if we remove the style reference as well, because everything is baked into the comic already. But let's just go ahead and get this done. So I'm going to say We could keep the comic image prompt if we wanted to keep the composition, but I'm going to allow the composition to change by removing the image prompt as well. You can see I'm just like deleting chunks of my prompt now because I'm purposely adding certain diversity. So now the prompt just says multiple panel depicting two people playing chess in New York in a New York City park. Style raw, Niji6, style reference for now, and the aspect ratio as well as the zoom set to 1. All this combined together, what it's essentially going to do is it's going to extend a couple panels, it's going to add a couple panels, but it will make sure that we don't lose any major resolution because we're not actually zooming out. We are simply reframing this comic to be wider than it was before. So let's see what this result looks like. And while that is rendering, I want to invite you guys over to my server because Rhapsody, the wonderful Rhapsody, is going to be taking over for an after party. I'll be there for a little bit. I won't be able to stay too long because my friend Fran is in town, and I want to make sure that I spend time with her today. Her and her wife. She is the creator of the Tiffany comics online, and I would love to have you guys, eventually, be able to say hey and all that stuff. But I just want to be able to see what kind of projects you guys are doing, see what you guys want to make together, and we're just going to have a big group chat. So feel free to join that server. And after this result comes in, I think that I'm going to leave it to Kinky to give some prompt battle announcements as well as anything else that might be relevant to Midjourney coming up. So do you want to just do that now while this is rendering, Kinky?
Couldn't find my mute button. Of course I do. Yes. Hey guys, we are doing prompt battles tomorrow and Saturday. We had an awesome event on Wednesday where we did the coloring page episode of Prompt Battles Primetime. That was super fun. But yeah, if you guys want to come by tomorrow around 3:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll put the link in the chat. We'll be playing prompt battles, giving away free fast hours and just random, mainly hanging out with each other and having a nice time. You don't have to be there all day. You can certainly come and go as you please. And I hope to see you. On Sunday, we also have the same thing going on, but we start at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard. And I'll put it in the chat so you can get it in your neck of the woods. The invite. Put the invite in the chat so you can see when it is in your neck of the woods. But we're doing the same thing all day. We just start a little earlier so the Europeans can have a crack at it too. But I really do hope to see you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Kinky. It is something that I highly recommend everyone joining the prompt battles because not only is it a way to earn fast hours, right? But it's an amazing way to learn just the sheer diversity of ways that people actually use Midjourney, like whether it's the kind of hacky image prompting solutions, zooming solutions that I do, where I'm oftentimes trying to iterate off of my previous prompt and kind of expand or develop the scene more. Or it's a completely different approach, a completely different technique using a completely different parameters. Like some people rely entirely on the RNG chaos element of Midjourney. That to me is kind of like the equivalent of asking me to work in like a realm of madness. Honestly, like when you use the chaos parameter, it's like basically ignoring your prompt entirely and just giving you randomness. But there are people who have found ways to control that randomness that have functionality with it that I don't. And it's amazing to see people actually like utilize these parameters that, to me, at least for my function of making comics, isn't very useful. But then I go, holy crap! If I really do want a character to have it, like for example, chaos mode is good at like breaking anatomies. So like if say like I wanted to do an alien bursting out of a chest, right? Like from the movie Aliens, then I can use chaos mode or chaos parameter to kind of force randomness in the chest to not be a human chest anymore. So that maybe it's an open like I can say like crater or impact or some sort of attack or something like that, and it will shred the shirt. It'll tear it up or do something like that. On its own, Midjourney will probably just want to give you a nice shirt because it tries to lean towards beautiful results. Okay. So Chaos lets us be able to venture out of the constrained world that I'm used to, and be able to make, just very, very interesting, very usually random images. But that's just one parameter that I don't use often, that some of the guys on prompt battles use constantly. And yeah, especially when it comes to just getting that initial starter image, yeah, you can definitely do a lot with some parameters that I rarely feature here. So you can see here, it takes a little while for these sorts of wider expansions to take hold, but the results that you get out of it can be so fascinating, because this is how I have now the spread for my next comic. If I wanted to make Sage and Michael playing chess in New York, in Central Park, right? This is all thanks to Really Smart for giving us the prompts. So thank you so much, Really Smart, for setting us up with a potential next comic, right? And it really just takes being like understanding what these functions do, why I'm deleting certain elements, why I'm adding certain elements. I hope that conveyed well for you guys today. But you could see here, we're almost done. We're almost ready to see what these results are. But it's quite often that the results kind of break the panels. They kind of expand out and show, like, basically people leaving the comic, right? Like what I consider it a form of 3D, where you're making characters more, emphasizing certain characters and their looks, because they're breaking out of the panels. They're breaking out of the fourth wall in that regard, not narratively, just visual. But let's take a look at these results really quick. Okay. You could see that off of the first one that we got here, Sage isn't really too accurate, right? But she's a bit of smartass. She's being a bit of a smartass here. She doesn't wear lipstick normally, so seeing these with lips is a little odd for me. So it didn't pain a couple if I were to choose this one. This one is a little better. She's not wearing any lipstick. She's pretty confident, but she has a ponytail, so I would in paint out the ponytail. She's alone with the chessboard. Aw, but her ear is enormous. This is where I'd in paint the head and make the head look better. This is the one that made me laugh while watching it generate, was just her so frustrated, like, like just getting angry, right? I was laughing at this result. And maybe it's like, oh, now you owe me lunch, because I won or whatever. Like that's the kind of reaction that I'm getting with this one. And then, there's one of Michael, like, being relatively calm on the bottom left corner here, and then confident, and even some alternative profiles that are done in a minimalist style. Amazing results that we're getting off of this here. All because we are saying, I understand that Midjourney is going to develop the next image or the next in paint based on whatever's in the canvas. And if I remove redundancy or add context, it's going to lean us in certain directions. Okay. And the most amazing thing about this is that I can just hit reroll and submit it again, or change any aspect of that prompt, and we will have different contexts for that, right? They're playing chess in New York. Maybe multiple panels depicting two people flipping the chessboard, like flipping the table with a chessboard. And now we have a premise that it will update only the neighboring panels, the ones that, so on and so forth. It's amazing. I highly recommend playing around with this and experimenting with the multiple panels depicting prompts, because it just lets you do some really wicked stuff. But it requires you to have your characters as accurate as possible before you zoom out. That's the number one rule, is that whatever is included in your canvas already, if you do a character reference or a style reference, it's actually probably going to sterilize the imagery a bit. So you want to make sure it's as accurate as possible to what's inside your canvas, so that when you expand, it's basing those decisions off of your existing art. So look at this, though. For flipping the table, okay, we didn't get any physical action necessarily of her flipping the table, but definitely she looks like she's like giving the face of doing it. She's about to flip the table out of anger. I love this face. Oh my god, this face is amazing right here. This is Michael grabbing the table, about to flip it, so on and so forth. Keep playing around with this, guys. I know you guys are going to have a lot of fun when it comes to both multi-character CREFs. I want to see you guys have successful ones. I'm very, very excited about that. I really want that's what I would hope we can get done in the after party, is be able to see two of our characters represented well. I've shown you Michael and Sage and got it to work. I want to see your all's characters next. I know Rhapsody's got Rio. Sorry, not Rio, got Roxy for a potion girl that we want to kind of companion with another fantasy character. There's a couple others that we want to mess with as well. So just come on over to the Gnarly Comics Discord, and we'll make some stuff together in voice chat. Okay. But that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I really do appreciate all the time that you've put in. And Kinky has something for us here. Here's something I've been working on since yesterday. So let's take a look at it. So let me download this really quick. Okay. Oop. Are we going to open this up?
One of my
Okay. Let's see here. Should I play this on stream, Kinky?
yeah, it's just like I'm just playing with CapCut and Midjourney and Hedra or Hedra, depends on how you want to pronounce it. So I thought it was kind of fun to put, character.
Yeah, let's do it.
Movement.
Let's get
One of my favorite things this summer has been including Hedra into my workflow. I mean, like, how else can I make a video, the one with the low volume, to put on Twitter without having to put on any makeup or get a cool beach house or live the influencer life? I could even be my character and talk to you really, really easily. I think
Is that it here?
No, I can't. Yeah, it's just a little.
Got it.
Just awesome. A little talk.
Very cool. No, very cool. I love that. It is very interesting to see what people are able to do nowadays with all the different AI stuff kind of merging together. That is really neat for sure. Any sort of like loops and stuff, I'm always like, yeah, as long as you can get the loop believable, you can just keep talking. You can just keep moving, keep doing things. So I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Kinky.
Hey, anytime.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Feel free to join the Discord. I just want to thank some people for being here, prompting with us. Of course, Really Smart for giving us a fantastic premise for the comic today. I'm sure we'll expand on it. I want to thank Getters and Curtin for coming out here today, as well as Nixie, Rhapsody, and Ko. Thank you so much. Fungi Mancer, of course. Thank you, guys. I really do appreciate every one of the regulars that come through, because it makes a huge difference for me that you guys come by here. It really does. It really does make a difference. Thank you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And if there's anything, just hit us up on the Discord. We're there's always somebody making something now. I love that we've got a really great community growing. And yes, thank you so much, Hillgarden, for coming. Get over there, or else, or Blobby's gonna get you. Okay. Thank you so much for looking that, Kinky. And you guys have a wonderful night. Okay.